Have you ever noticed that the harder you try to make life work, the more it seems to fall apart? You plan, you chase, you fight, yet peace keeps slipping away. There's a haunting truth the Buddha revealed. What you cling to, the most begins to disappear. What if the very effort to control your destiny is what's pushing it further from reach? Imagine if everything you seek, success, love, peace, comes not through force, but through trust. In this video, we'll uncover why letting go isn't failure, it's freedom. Stay till the end for a powerful bonus lesson that reveals how life starts aligning the moment you stop chasing it. Where every video is a doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else. Let's begin. 1. The weight of wanting too much. There's a quiet ache that lives inside those who want too much. You can feel it in your chest, the subtle tightening that whispers, "I need more success, more recognition, more love." But have you ever paused to ask, when does desire become a prison instead of a path? The Buddha once said, "Desire grows like fire, it feeds on what it burns." And the truth is, the more air you give to the flame of craving, the faster it consumes your peace. We spend years chasing what we believe is meant for us, relationships, dreams, outcomes. And yet, in the chase, we forget to breathe. We forget that the universe moves in silence, not in struggle. When we force life, we close our hands so tightly that even blessings can't enter. But when we loosen our grip, when we trust the rhythm of what's unfolding, what's meant for us naturally finds its way home. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering, not because we shouldn't care, but because caring without awareness turns into clinging. Imagine sitting beside a calm river. You cannot push its water faster, nor can you hold it still. You can only sit and let it flow. The same is true for your life. When you stop trying to control the direction of the current, you begin to see how perfectly it carries you. Every delay, every silence, every unanswered prayer, none of it is a punishment. It's a redirection. The right path reveals itself when your mind stops shouting and starts listening. So breathe. Feel your breath soften as you exhale all urgency, like releasing smoke from a fire that no longer serves you. Let go of the rush. The universe does not reward panic. It rewards patience. You are not behind. You are right where the lesson needs you to be. Say it gently within yourself. I am free from the pressure to have everything now. What's mine cannot miss me. I trust divine timing over desperate effort. Ask yourself quietly, what am I chasing that steals my peace? Is my desire clean or clouded by fear? How would I live if I trusted that I already have enough? These are not questions to answer with the mind, but with silence. Because when you stop chasing, clarity begins to chase you. In Buddhism, detachment is not about walking away from life. It's about walking deeply within it, without clinging. It's learning to enjoy the flower without plucking it, to love without possession, to work without obsession. And when you live this way, what's truly meant for you no longer hides. It begins to move toward you with grace. Remember this, the moment you stop forcing life, it turns around and starts walking toward you. Be still long enough, and what is meant for you will always arrive, naturally. 2. Stop forcing the river to flow. There's a moment in every seeker's journey when they realize that not everything is meant to be forced. You can feel it when your efforts turn into exhaustion, when your plans begin to feel heavy, when every try feels like swimming against the current. It's in these moments you must pause and ask yourself, why do I insist on pushing water that already knows its path? The Buddha taught that control is an illusion. What flows, flows. What resists, resists. And in this wisdom lies the greatest peace. Nothing forced ever flows, and nothing flowing ever needs to be forced. Life is a river. Its current carries both storms and silence. When you try to command the current, all you do is stir the mud that clouds your reflection. But when you trust the movement of the water, even its twists and turns become beautiful. In truth, the river already knows where it is going. It only asks that you stop fighting its rhythm. So many suffer not because life is unkind, but because they refuse to surrender to its natural order. They plan every detail, cling to every outcome, and panic when things don't unfold their way. But tell me, how can peace enter a heart that refuses to loosen its grip? When you try to bend life to your timeline, you end up breaking your own calm. The enlightened path begins when you release your need to control the direction of the stream and begin to float with faith instead. Imagine standing by a gentle river at dusk, the water glistening under fading light. You take a deep breath, and as you exhale, imagine every worry dissolving into the ripples that pass by. Each ripple carries away a layer of tension. Every swirl softens the noise of your thoughts. In this stillness, you remember, I release control and let life move through me. My peace doesn't depend on outcomes. What's meant for me will find its way. These words are not mere affirmations. They are gateways to serenity. Ask yourself quietly, what have I been trying too hard to control? Can I trust the river of life to carry me? What would happen if I stopped pushing? In these questions lies your liberation. Because when you stop forcing, you begin to see how everything aligns without your interference. Life doesn't need your pressure. It needs your presence. Buddhist teachings remind us that acceptance is not weakness. It's wisdom. The lotus blooms not because it rushes, but because it surrenders to the rhythm of the water that nourishes it. When you live with that same trust, everything meant for you begins to arrive effortlessly. So let go of the oars. Let the river carry you, because the moment you stop forcing the current, life finally has the space to guide you exactly where you're meant to be. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, I trust the flow. 3. The power of surrender. Letting life lead you. There comes a sacred moment when the soul grows tired of fighting, when you realize that the more you resist life, the heavier it becomes. You try to control outcomes, hold people, fix situations, and shape the world in your image. Yet the tighter you cling, the more peace slips through your fingers. And so the question arises softly in your heart, what if surrender isn't weakness, but wisdom? The Buddha taught that true freedom begins not in control, but in letting go. Surrender, he said in essence, is the bridge between fear and freedom. Like a leaf falling gently into a river, you don't need to know where the current leads. You only need to trust that it knows. The leaf doesn't fight the water, it becomes one with it. So too can your spirit. When you allow life to move through you instead of against you, your burdens begin to dissolve, and clarity quietly returns. But the world tells you to always push, to fight for every inch, to never stop striving. It confuses surrender with defeat. Yet surrender is not giving up, it's waking up. It's realizing that your energy belongs not in resistance, but in alignment. When you stop forcing outcomes, you stop creating suffering. The path unfolds naturally, as it always has. The universe does not move through effort, it moves through flow. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself floating effortlessly, carried by a calm current that always knows the way home. Every muscle softens, every thought slows. You are safe in the flow of life. You are held by something greater than fear. Whisper within, I am safe in the flow of life. The universe works through me, not against me. I am guided even in silence. Let these words rest inside you like pebbles settling gently at the bottom of a clear stream. Ask yourself with quiet honesty, where in my life can I stop resisting? What if surrender is my greatest strength? What happens when I stop trying to swim upstream? These are not questions to analyze, they are mirrors for your heart. Because when you truly surrender, you no longer beg the river to change its direction, you allow it to carry you toward peace. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that surrender is the art of trust, the faith that everything unfolds in its own time. You may not always see the purpose, but the current never loses its way. To surrender is to remember that life does not need to be conquered, it needs to be understood. So let yourself float, let life lead you. Because when you stop trying to control the current, you realize it was never against you, it was always guiding you home. 4. The calm strength of non-attachment. There is a quiet strength in learning to hold life with open hands, to care deeply yet not grasp, to love sincerely yet not cling. In a world that teaches possession as proof of affection, few understand the true art of loving without attachment. So ask yourself, can we love deeply without clinging? The Buddha taught that non-attachment is not the absence of love, but the purification of it. It is love without chains, care without control, compassion without demand. Hold lightly what you love so it can return freely. These words whisper a truth most hearts forget. When you hold too tightly to what you cherish, you begin to squeeze the life out of it. The same hands that try to protect can also suffocate. Non-attachment then is not coldness. It's warmth without possession, like sunlight that gives life but never holds it. It nourishes all it touches yet remains free. Think about the times you've loved with fear, the fear of losing, of being forgotten, of not being enough. That fear disguises itself as care, but in truth, it's attachment. It demands, it worries, it controls. The Buddha compared such attachment to a shadow following the body. You cannot escape it until you stop running. Real love is different. It doesn't cling to form. It flows like a river, trusting that what is real will always find its way back. Imagine this. You open your hands and a soft golden light rests upon your palms. You feel its warmth, its beauty. Then as you breathe out, you let it flow through your fingers, never lost, only shared. That is non-attachment. It's the understanding that nothing truly yours can be taken from you, and what leaves your life only clears space for something deeper. Whisper to your heart, I give freely and let go gracefully. Love does not bind, it liberates. My peace is not hostage to anyone's presence. Ask yourself gently, what relationships feel heavy with attachment? Can I love without needing? What would unconditional peace feel like? These questions are invitations, not to detach from people, but from the illusion that your happiness depends on them. When you release this illusion, every bond becomes lighter, more sacred. You begin to love from abundance, not from lack. Buddhist wisdom teaches that true connection arises from freedom, not fear. To be non-attached is to love like the sky, holding everything, yet clinging to nothing. When you embody this, your relationships no longer drain you, they nourish you. You no longer chase love, you become love itself. So open your hands, let what's meant to stay, stay. Let what must go, go. Because when you love without holding, everything beautiful remains. And peace finally takes its rightful place within you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, I trust the flow. 5. Right effort, acting without attachment. There is a delicate balance between doing and being, between effort and surrender. We are taught to strive, to achieve, to never stop pushing forward. Yet how often does our effort transform into obsession? How often do we forget that true power lies not in forcing outcomes, but in releasing them? Ask yourself gently, how do you act with full intention, but no obsession? The Buddha called this balance right effort, the art of doing your part without clinging to what follows. Do the work, but do not become the work. These words hold a freedom most have never tasted. It means to move with full presence, but without the chains of expectation. Just as the archer focuses on the shot, not the applause, the arrow knows its own way. Once released, it travels on the wind, guided by unseen forces. You cannot control its path. You can only master your focus before letting go. Many suffer not from failure, but from attachment to results. They measure their worth by what they achieve, rather than by the sincerity of their effort. This is the quiet root of exhaustion, trying to control what belongs to the universe. The Buddha reminds us, right effort is not about pushing harder. It's about working wisely, with calm energy, not frantic striving. When you act with mindfulness, each step becomes both the journey and the destination. Close your eyes for a moment and picture yourself standing in an open field. The world is silent. You lift your bow, draw the string, and release an arrow into the horizon. You do not chase it. You do not wonder where it lands. You simply breathe. That is peace. The peace that comes when your effort is pure and your heart detached from outcome. Whisper to yourself, I give my best without fearing the rest. Effort is my offering, not my burden. Peace begins where attachment ends. Ask yourself softly, when does my effort become attachment? Can I do without expecting? What would peaceful productivity look like for me? Let these questions guide you inward, toward a more mindful way of living. Because when you pour yourself into action without demanding reward, you begin to experience life as a sacred flow, not a constant test. Buddhist wisdom teaches that results are never fully yours. They are born of countless conditions beyond your control. Your task is only to show up fully, act with intention, and let life take care of the rest. The flower doesn't rush to bloom, it simply opens when the sun rises. In the same way, your actions bear fruit when the time is right. So, do your work with love and let go with trust. Because the moment you stop forcing success, peace becomes your true reward. 6. Stillness, the magnetic energy of peace. There comes a time when the noise within grows louder than the world around you, when the constant movement, striving and searching begin to exhaust your soul. In that moment, you realize something profound. Not every action requires motion. Sometimes the most powerful action is stillness itself. The Buddha often reminded his disciples that peace is not something to be found in distant places. It arises when the mind stops running from the present moment. In silence, all answers become audible. These words carry a truth that only stillness can reveal. Imagine a pond disturbed by ripples. It cannot reflect the sky until it becomes calm. So too with the human mind. When we stop chasing, comparing and forcing, life begins to mirror our quiet clarity. The pond that stops rippling reflects the sky perfectly. So does a mind that ceases to chase. In this world, movement is often mistaken for progress. We think if we are not striving, we are falling behind. Yet, peace doesn't live in speed. It lives in awareness. The Buddha called it the middle way, a life neither rushed by desire nor paralyzed by fear. True stillness is not the absence of effort. It is the presence of alignment. It's a mind so steady that even chaos bows before it. Close your eyes and imagine a still lake under the moonlight. The air is cool, the night silent. The moon's reflection rests upon the surface, clear and luminous. That lake is your mind when you stop reacting. That moonlight is your awareness when you stop grasping. In that silence, everything you are trying to force begins to flow toward you naturally. Whisper softly within, "Stillness is my strength. I attract peace by being peace. My calm is my magnet." Ask yourself, how often do I allow myself to be still? What does silence reveal to me? Can I let peace come without pursuit? These questions are not tasks to complete. They are invitations to return home. Because when you become still, you stop chasing what's meant for you. And in that stillness, life begins to find you. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that energy flows where the mind rests. If your mind rests in fear, you attract chaos. If your mind rests in peace, you attract harmony. Stillness is not emptiness. It's fullness beyond words. It is the space where inspiration, healing, and clarity rise without effort. The pond does not chase the sky, it simply reflects it. The flower does not beg for sunlight, it simply opens. Likewise, you do not need to chase peace. You only need to become still enough to let it recognize you. So be calm, be quiet, be unmoved by the rush of the world, because when your heart becomes still, everything meant for you finds its way across the water, drawn gently toward the magnetic energy of your peace. 7. The law of timing, life's silent precision. There are moments in life when silence feels unbearable, when everything you desire seems distant, delayed, or lost in some unseen fog. You question, why does life delay what I want most? The heart aches for clarity, for movement, for something to finally fall into place. But the Buddha's wisdom whispers gently through the stillness. Delays are not denials. They are divine recalibrations. What you perceive as waiting is often preparation. What feels like stagnation is the quiet alignment of unseen forces. The seed doesn't bloom when commanded. It blooms when the season arrives. No amount of pulling, pleading, or pushing can make it flower before its time. It waits, nurtured by patience, strengthened by stillness. So it is with you. The universe has its own rhythm, its own sacred timing. The more you fight the delay, the more you disturb your own peace. But when you trust the process, you begin to see how every pause carries purpose. So many people suffer, not because their dreams are denied, but because they are demanded too soon. The human mind wants immediacy, but the spirit understands incubation. Life does not hand us what we want. It hands us what we're ready for. And readiness is not built in haste. It's born in silence, in struggle, in unseen growth beneath the surface. The winter that seems empty is quietly growing the spring. Imagine a great tree standing in winter, its branches bare, its leaves fallen, its silence heavy. To the eye, it seems lifeless. Yet beneath the frost, the roots are deepening, preparing to hold greater life. The same is true for you. When nothing seems to move, you are rooting yourself in strength you cannot yet see. Whisper softly to your soul, I trust the season I'm in. What's not ready yet is being refined. My patience plants peace. Ask yourself with honesty, what might life be preparing me for? Am I patient enough to wait for divine timing? How does waiting purify my intention? These questions open the heart to a deeper truth, that waiting is not a punishment, it's a purification. The longer something takes, the more you're asked to refine your purpose, to detach from ego and expectation, and to trust the silent precision of life's unfolding. Buddhist wisdom teaches that everything arises when conditions are right, no sooner, no later. Even the most beautiful lotus must push through the darkness before meeting the sun. If it were forced open too early, its petals would tear. Likewise, when you surrender to divine timing, you protect the sacred unfolding of your destiny. Patience is not idleness, it's faith in motion. Trust that the universe never forgets what's meant for you. It simply waits until you're strong enough to receive it. Because just like the seed in winter, your time will come. And when it does, you'll understand why the waiting was never empty. It was sacred preparation. 8. Releasing the need for control. There's a moment in every heart when exhaustion whispers louder than ambition, when you realize how tightly you've been holding on. Plans, outcomes, people, emotions, all gripped as if life could only work through your control. And yet, in that grasping, you lose the very peace you're trying to protect. So ask yourself softly, what happens when we stop negotiating with life? The Buddha taught that clinging arises from fear, and fear always distorts the natural flow of things. Control, he said through timeless wisdom, is the illusion we build to protect our fears. The tighter you grip the sand, the faster it slips away. Control is the same. You hold your goals so tightly, your relationships so cautiously, that you begin to choke the space where life could breathe freely. It's not the plans that harm you. It's the attachment to how they must unfold. In truth, life is not asking you to control, it's asking you to cooperate. It's asking you to trust that its rhythm has a wisdom far beyond your plans. When you release the need for control, you open the door to guidance. The universe has always been moving, whether or not you're pulling the strings. To surrender is not to give up, it is to give in to the natural harmony already working for you. When you stop forcing, life begins to reveal itself as it truly is. Fluid, kind, intelligent. Every obstacle becomes a teacher, every delay a redirection, every loss a lesson. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your hands, how tightly they hold the invisible weight of all your expectations. Now, imagine yourself unclenching your fists, watching the grains of time flow freely through your fingers. What you once tried to grasp now moves gently, beautifully through the open space of your palms. Whisper to yourself, I release the illusion of control. Life unfolds even when I let go. I am guided, not forced. In this letting go, you do not lose power. You discover it. Ask yourself with compassion, what do I fear losing control of? How has control kept me from peace? Can I replace control with curiosity? When you begin to replace fear with trust and control with openness, life becomes a dance again, a movement between effort and surrender, between doing and allowing. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that control is born from the ego, but surrender is born from wisdom. The more you try to force life to obey your will, the more resistance you create. But when you soften, when you trust the flow, you realize that life has never needed your control. It only needed your cooperation. So loosen your grip. Let what's meant for you come. Let what's leaving go. Because when you stop trying to shape every moment, you finally make space for peace to shape you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, I trust the flow. 9. The silence between effort and reward. There is a quiet tension that lives in the space between effort and reward. A place where the heart grows restless and the mind questions its worth. You plant seeds with hope, with intention, with careful care, and then nothing seems to happen. The pause stretches, the silence deepens, and you wonder if your efforts were in vain. Yet the Buddha reminds us that this silence is sacred. Why is there always a pause between planting and harvest? Because the universe tests your faith in the silence. Think of a musician whose melody is defined not just by the notes, but by the pauses between them. The silence is what gives the music depth, resonance, and meaning. Without it, even the most brilliant note becomes empty. So too is life. The moments between your actions and the results carry lessons far deeper than any achievement could reveal. They invite patience, reflection, and trust. They teach you to align with the natural rhythm rather than rush toward illusionary control. Many of us try to fill the silence with worry, with overthinking, with frantic movement. We push, we question, we measure our value by immediate outcomes. But this is the trap of attachment. The universe asks you to rest, to breathe, to observe the quiet growth happening beneath the surface. The pause is not punishment, it is preparation. What you cannot yet see is still forming, still ripening, still readying itself to arrive in perfect timing. Close your eyes and visualize yourself sitting in the golden twilight, hearing the echo of your own calm breath between two heartbeats. Feel the stillness as it surrounds you. Let the world pause around you. Let your mind settle into the rhythm of the unseen and whisper to your heart, I rest in the space between. The silence after effort is sacred. I trust what I can't yet see. In these moments, you learn that life's power is not in rushing toward results, but in honoring the quiet where growth occurs. Ask yourself gently, how do I react to life's silence? What lessons hide in my waiting? Can I find beauty in the in-between? These reflections are not intellectual exercises. They are invitations to embody patience, to feel trust, and to discover peace within uncertainty. Because the pause itself is a teacher, a mirror reflecting your readiness to receive. Buddhist wisdom teaches that life's rhythm is not measured by urgency, but by alignment. Every harvest, every opportunity, every blessing arrives only when conditions are perfect. The waiting is not absence, it is a sacred space, a time for the heart to grow in awareness, for the spirit to deepen in resilience, and for the mind to learn the value of stillness. So rest in the silence, embrace the pause, trust that every effort you have made is not lost, but quietly preparing the arrival of something meaningful. Because in the in-between, life is shaping you, teaching you, and guiding you toward what is truly yours. 10. The universe responds to energy, not effort. There is a subtle truth many overlook in the rush to achieve. The universe responds not to frantic effort, but to the energy we carry. We chase, we push, we exhaust ourselves trying to force outcomes, yet the world rarely bends to urgency. Ask yourself gently, what if your vibration creates more than your action? The Buddha's wisdom whispers in the stillness, you do not attract what you chase, you attract what you are. The essence of life is drawn to presence, not pressure. Consider the sun. It does not run after the flowers, demanding they bloom. Its warmth simply radiates, steady and unwavering, and the flowers respond in their own time. So too is your inner energy. When you align your heart and mind with calm, with trust, with clarity, life begins to mirror that energy. The more you cultivate peace within, the more your outer world harmonizes with it. Effort alone, without conscious alignment, will never yield the depth of fulfillment you seek. Many of us act as though movement alone can shape reality. We chase opportunities, people, recognition, believing that what we pursue will finally bring contentment. Yet in that chase, the mind becomes restless, the heart heavy, and the spirit drained. The universe does not operate on compulsion, it operates on resonance. It responds to the vibration you emit long before your hands touch the outcome. Close your eyes and visualize golden light radiating from your heart, quiet, steady, magnetic. With every breath, feel it expand, illuminating not just your being, but the space around you. Imagine this light quietly drawing to you everything that matches its frequency. Nothing is forced, nothing is hurried. It comes naturally because the energy is already aligned. Whisper within, I attract through calm alignment, not urgency. My peace is my power. I radiate what I wish to receive. Ask yourself, am I aligned with what I seek? Does my energy mirror my desire? What if my peace is my greatest magnet? These questions are not puzzles to solve. They are reflections guiding you inward toward alignment and authenticity. When your energy resonates with intention, the universe mirrors it effortlessly. Buddhist teachings remind us that outer struggle cannot replace inner harmony. You cannot chase serenity into existence. You cannot push wisdom into your life. Instead, cultivate the energy of what you wish to receive. Let it flow from your being as naturally as sunlight touches the earth. So focus not on the frantic pursuit, but on the vibration you carry. Be calm, be steady, be luminous. In this energy, everything meant for you begins to arrive, not because of desperate effort, but because the universe always answers the harmony of your heart. 11. Arriving without trying. The flow of trust. There is a quiet grace in realizing that life does not need your insistence to move. So often we run, we push, we exhaust ourselves trying to pull the world toward our plans, believing that without our constant effort, nothing will arrive. And yet, in the heart of stillness, a deeper truth waits to be felt. What if everything you want is already walking toward you? The Buddha teaches that surrender is not passivity. It is alignment with the natural flow of existence. When you stop running, destiny catches up. Consider the moon and the tides. The moon does not chase the ocean, demanding it to rise or fall. It simply rises in its rhythm, and the tides respond, faithfully following its pull. Your desires, your goals, your dreams function in the same way. The universe does not require your frantic effort. It only requires your trust. When you stop pushing, when you allow, life begins to move with subtle precision, arranging situations, opportunities, and encounters in ways your mind could never plan. Many struggle because they link action with results. They hustle, force, and control, thinking this is how life unfolds. However, true flow comes not from effort alone, but by aligning your energy with the natural rhythm of existence. Overexerting yourself disrupts the flow. To chase is to resist, and to hold on is to block the natural course of destiny. In quiet trust, every effort you make is met by the universe at its perfect time. Close your eyes and picture yourself standing in the moonlight. Feel the universe gently pulling you into alignment in silence. Breathe deeply and observe how, even without moving, life seems to organize itself toward your highest good. Let your heart whisper, "I move with life's rhythm. What is meant for me is already on its way. I rest in divine order." In this stillness, you realize that rest is not inactivity. It is faith in the unseen forces that always bring what belongs to you. Ask yourself gently, what if the result I desire is already unfolding? Can I stop chasing and start allowing? How does trust change my energy? These are not questions to force an answer. They are reflections meant to soften your heart, to release the tension, and invite the peaceful presence of trust. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that life responds not to desperation, but to harmony. You cannot force destiny, but you can embody it. You cannot push the world into alignment, but you can align yourself with the world. When you stop chasing, you allow the current to carry you effortlessly to what is already yours. So stop running, stand still, let the moon rise within you, and trust that life's tides will always follow. What's meant for you does not require pursuit. It has already begun to arrive. Bonus lesson: freedom through faith, becoming the flow. There is great liberation in realizing that resistance is the only thing standing between you and the flow of life. We use so much energy trying to shape, predict, and control, thinking our struggle will bring us peace. Yet each act of clinging pulls us farther from the harmony that is already here. Ask yourself gently, what happens when you stop resisting the current of life? In the space between effort and surrender, the Buddha's wisdom whispers, "When I flow with life, I become life." Think of the drop of water. It believes it is separate, searching for purpose, wondering where it belongs. Yet it was never apart from the ocean. It simply forgot its true nature. When the drop surrenders, when it allows itself to merge, it finds freedom beyond imagination. The same applies to you. Every moment of resistance fragments your energy, and every moment of release reunites you with the boundless flow of life. So many look for peace outside themselves, in outcomes, people, and possessions, never realizing it has always been inside. To resist the natural flow is to swim against your own being. To trust, to yield, is not passivity. It is alignment with a higher intelligence. When you stop pushing and stop fearing, you allow the universe to carry you with effortless grace. You discover that surrender is not weakness, but ultimate strength. Close your eyes and imagine dissolving into a vast ocean of light. Feel yourself merging with the current. No resistance, no fear, only pure being. Your individual struggles, your clinging, your questions all dissolve into this vastness. Whisper softly to your heart, "I am one with the rhythm of life. I trust the path I'm on fully. I am not waiting for peace. I am peace." In this flow, there is no rush, no lack, no separation, only an intimate, infinite connection with all that is. Ask yourself with compassion, what part of me still resists the flow? What would my life look like if I trusted completely? Can I finally rest in the knowing that I am exactly where I need to be? These are not challenges to overcome. They are invitations to remember the truth that has always been within you. When you trust, you don't need to chase. When you yield, you don't need to fight. Buddhist wisdom tells us that freedom is not found in clinging, striving, or controlling. It is found in faith. Faith in the unseen, faith in timing, faith in your alignment with life. When you stop being separate, when you stop resisting, you become the river, the ocean, the current itself. So release, merge, flow. Because in surrender, in letting go, you awaken to the infinite truth. You are never apart, and you have always been exactly where you need to be. Quick summary of the principles. Stop forcing the river to flow. When you try to control life, you create resistance. True peace begins when you allow things to unfold at their own pace. Trust the process instead of forcing it, because what's meant for you will find its way when you stop chasing. The burden of wanting too much. Desire becomes suffering when it turns into obsession. The more you crave what you lack, the emptier you feel. Freedom begins the moment you realize that not everything you want is meant for you right now. The power of surrender, letting life lead you. Surrender is not weakness, it's the highest form of wisdom. When you release the illusion of control, life begins to align perfectly. You start moving with the universe instead of against it. The calm strength of non-attachment. Non-attachment does not mean indifference. It means loving deeply without fear of loss. When you hold lightly, peace becomes your companion. You learn that true love is freedom, not possession. Right effort. Acting without attachment. Work with diligence but detach from the result. The Buddha taught that effort rooted in peace leads to joy, while effort born of fear leads to exhaustion. Your only task is to give your best and let go of the rest. Stillness, the magnetic power of peace. When your mind stops chasing, clarity and calm return naturally. In stillness, you stop repelling what's meant for you. Silence becomes your strength, and peace begins to draw everything you once sought. The law of timing. Life's silent precision. Delays are not rejections, they are redirections. Life gives you what you desire only when you have grown into the person who can handle it. Patience isn't waiting, it's trusting that every season has its purpose. Releasing the need for control. The desire to control everything comes from fear and distrust. When you loosen your grip, life begins to unfold in ways you couldn't have planned. Letting go isn't losing, it's returning to peace. The silence between effort and reward. The space between doing and receiving is sacred. In the pause, the universe reorders itself for your highest good. Don't rush it. The silence after your effort is where transformation takes root. The universe responds to energy, not effort. You don't attract by trying harder. You attract by becoming calmer. Life mirrors your energy, not your struggle. When your energy aligns with peace, everything starts to move effortlessly in your favor, arriving without trying. The flow of trust. When you stop running, what's meant for you finds you. Life becomes a gentle unfolding instead of a desperate chase. The moment you trust fully, destiny walks beside you. Freedom through faith, becoming the flow. The final stage of detachment is realizing there is no separation between you and life. You stop being the swimmer and become the current. Trust replaces fear, and peace becomes your natural state. When you stop forcing life, you stop fighting with the universe. Every closed door, every delay, every unanswered prayer begins to make sense. They were never punishments, only gentle redirections toward what's truly meant for you. The Buddha's wisdom teaches us that peace is not something we achieve, it's something we return to when we stop resisting what is. Life flows perfectly when you trust its rhythm. You don't need to chase, control, or fight to align with life. You only need to allow. The moment you release your timeline, expectations, and fear, the path clears. What's meant for you begins to move toward you like a tide returning to the shore. So today, breathe deeply. Let go of control. Trust that the timing of your life is perfect beyond understanding, because when you stop forcing, you start flowing. And in that flow, everything finds its way back to you. When you surrender to what is, life begins to serve you instead of testing you. Like and share this video. Share your thoughts in the comments for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.